In this lesson, you are going to learn how to use the type tool, the options, and the character panel. Everything that you see here, you can do with some simple type tools. You're going to start by downloading the blank Photoshop file from the Canvas module. It's not actually blank. I want you to see that there are actually two images in this particular file, but the layers have been turned off. The visibility has been turned off. That's what that little eyeball does, is it shows and hides the layer. So right now we want it off. The other thing you're going to download from the Canvas module is a very simple text file that just has a little bit of um, lyrics to a song on it. So let's go ahead and start by saving this file to your OneDrive, and you'll navigate over to your OneDrive, to your class folder, and into Photoshop. Remember that you are changing PD to your period name and last name to your last name, okay? Just like you see here. And then click OK. It is going to stay a Photoshop file because we want to be able to continue editing this. So we are going to need a new panel for this particular set of tools to work with our text and type. So we want to open the character and paragraph panels. Typically when you choose one, they both open for you. Here is the, here is the character panel. Here is the paragraph panel. They do similar but related things. I want you to notice that up here at the top right, one of the most important features in this options pop-up is this reset character. And what that does is it puts all of the options for text back at the default setting. And this is important to know because as you start working with type, whatever you previously used, it saves that the next time you open it. And sometimes you have so many different things changed that it is better for you to just say reset and start it all over from scratch. So I'm going to go ahead and look at my type tool. If you use a keyboard shortcut, it would be T to get to the type tool. Okay. There are 4 different type tools here: horizontal, which types left to right; vertical, up to down, or top to bottom; vertical type mask, which you'll see in a minute how to use the type mask tool, but you also have vertical and horizontal with that. So we're going to start with the horizontal type mask tool, and I just want you to go ahead and type your name. And again, whoops, typing it without misspelling it helps. We're going to use the character panel. So I want you to notice I typed it, and then I'm going to go in here and I'm just randomly choosing something. Notice it's not changing. Well, that's because I don't actually have anything selected. There's a couple of ways to select it. I can double click and get my name highlighted, and that will allow me to change my font. Or I can click on it with my move tool right here, and then I can change it as well. Okay. So what I want you to see though is while it is selected, and I will tell you that if you go to your layers panel and double click on that little T thumbnail, that actually selects the text. Notice that you have options up here in your options bar as well as in the character panel. So you get the main ones here, and it's only when you need to be very specific with other things that you need the character panel because they repeat themselves. Okay, so you can come up here either place and you can choose a color. You go ahead and choose. You can also change the font size. I want you to see that there is a drop down menu with some font sizes. You can also type it in. You don't have to choose from the ones that are there. You also, if you notice when you put your mouse over the double T, it gives you the finger, okay? And that allows you, if you click and drag, That allows you to change the font size. Um, Maybe you don't know the exact size. Maybe you're trying to look at your design and see what fits best. That's how you would do it right there. So let's go ahead and position your text on your canvas. One thing, if you didn't already notice, my auto select, when I have my move tool selected, my auto select is checked. What that means is that no matter how many layers I have or what I'm working on, if I click on an object, no matter how far down the layers panel it is, it's going to automatically select it. So that's a good thing to have checked, okay? We just used with this horizontal type tool is called point and type. It means that when you click your mouse, you can just type and it's going to type a big long sentence. So if I were to select these lyrics from that file that you downloaded, if I did the point and type, whoops, point and type, notice it just makes this really long string of text. Okay. Whoops, I have to have it selected in order to do that. Reset character. So here it is. You can see that it doesn't even fit because I just clicked and typed. Okay. However, by using that same tool, instead of clicking and typing, I can click and drag and draw basically a boundary box for where I want that text to be. So I'm going to go ahead and reset the character on that one. Whenever you do that, it automatically pops up with what is called lorem ipsum. It's placeholder text, sometimes referred to as dummy text. It's not supposed to make sense to you. It just is something that they put in so that you can see what it would look like with text there. It starts off selected, so now all I have to do is paste my lyrics in. So we're going to look at a couple of things with this. One, I want you to go ahead and we're going to choose a font. We can start typing and it will go to try to match it up. I want you to choose Century Gothic Regular. And let's increase the font to 22. And then I want you to pop on over to the paragraph panel. You see that right now it's set at center alignment. We have left, center, right, but then we also have what is called justified. So it justifies it. It fills in some extra space in some lines to make it justified on the right and left. But then that bottom line stays left aligned, center aligned, or right aligned, or this is full justification. So I'm going to put it on this one right here. Then I'm going to come over here back to character. This line right here is what we call line spacing or leading. And it's always set at the automatic, which is based on what your font size is. However, we can drag this and we can increase the amount of space between our lines, like between here. We can also reduce it. So if it was wanted a little bit closer together, we can move it to 23 point, which pushes it together. Now, if I let go of this, I can see that all of my text did not fit in this text box. But I want to point out two things so that you can see the difference between them. If I don't have the actual text selected, but I have the text box selected, if I drag a corner, notice that it is increasing the font size as well as the boundary area. However, if I double click and have my text selected, I can drag that box and now I am just changing the boundary area. It's important to realize the difference between those. So remember, if your text is selected and you drag a corner, you are changing the boundary area. If you do not have it selected and all you have is the text box selected, then you are changing the size of the text as well as the boundary area. But with it selected, go ahead and resize it so that you can see all of your text inside of that text box. Next, we're going to go to the type tool and we're going to choose the vertical type tool. And I'm going to go and I'm also going to change my font to Impact Regular. And I am going to type in all caps, Lamar space consolidated. And then I can adjust the font size and maybe instead of doing a specific font size, maybe I know that I want Lamar Consolidated to go all the way from the top left to the bottom so that it fits. So instead of changing the font size by changing the font size, I am changing the font size by transforming the size of this object. It accomplishes the same thing, it's just a different method of doing it. Now, let's go ahead and I'm going to go back to the horizontal type tool real quick. We typed our first name. Now let's go ahead and type your last name. Oops. And take it off of the all caps. We want to make sure that we get into the habit of typing with proper names with a capital letter and then the rest of it under lowercase unless we're trying to do something specific like that. I'm also going to change the color of this. I want you to notice that there's lots of places to change color. You've got your color picker here. You've got another color picker up here. Also pointing out that this is a spectrum of color, and when you choose your spectrum of color here, you still have the ability to change it in here. This fine tunes it. So if we know we want it in this pink family, we can either add white to it, making it a tint. We can add black to it, making it a shade. We can make it very saturated over here at the top right, or desaturated where it's more black and white. Okay, so you pick a color. However, I want you to also notice these two warning signs. The one with the triangle means that it is out of gamut for printing. That just means that the color you have chosen, it is not going to print exactly like you see it here. And so if you click that button, it's going to move your color to something that it can print. However, most of the stuff that we are going to do in here is actually going to be for web. So this one is actually more important. This is not a web safe color. So we want to choose something that is, so we allow Photoshop to fix that for us. And then click OK. Now, we have the ability, right now I have show transform controls, but remember if yours are not there, you can always go to free transform. We have rotate. Notice that when you put your mouse outside of a corner of something, you have the ability, oops, to rotate it. Now, you can rotate it simply like that. You can also hold the shift key down and it sends it in 15-degree increments. You also, if you knew exactly how much you wanted it rotated, right here, you could say rotate it 90 degrees or -90, and it's going to apply that right there.